welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, hey, how you doing? My name is Ash. I am a makeup artist and a book lover, emphasis on book lover, and it was recently my birthday, and I went crazy book shopping. Like crazy book shopping. Side note, I am sitting on my floor because dealing with all these books was not gonna be pleasant at my desk. My desk is kind of cramped in a corner, so the floor it is. And I'll be honest, this isn't even everything. I still have a book outlet order coming in. It's running a little late, but I wanted to jumpstart going through these books because I need to put them away because they're just kind of scattered everywhere. So the first store I went to was Barnes & Noble, and I went over Labor Day weekend. My birthday was the 4th, and I went on, I think it was technically August 30th or 31st that I went. Barnes & Noble had the double triple stamps thing for members. I am a premium member and I got 3x stamps, so that's why I was there. I did only plan on going to Barnes & Noble on my birthday, but with the triple stamp option, I was like, you know what, let's just go and then I'll get more on my birthday, and I went crazy. So I'm going to start with the first Barnes & Noble trip and then move on to the rest. I am so excited for these. So the first book I picked up was Lady Macbeth by Reid. I honestly know nothing about this. I'm guessing it's going to be a story related to Macbeth, but this cover is so pretty. This is what the actual cover looks like. Oh, it says Death Touch, Poison Eye, Witch Kissed. And then the end pages. Gorgeous. So excited for this. This next book I know nothing about also, but it's called The Crimson Crown, and it has these beautiful red edges, and this is by Heather Walter, which says it's the author of Malice. Never heard of it, but this is what this one looks like. And the back says, before the apple was poisoned, before the mirror was cursed, a witch became a queen and the queen became a villain. Her story has been shrouded in shadow, but now she will rise. So it says, Snow White's Dark Queen tells her side of the story in this queer, witchy reimagining of the classic fairy tale from the author of Malice. I love that. And this doesn't have anything special on the inside, but I love a good sprayed edge. I love it. I cannot wait to delve into this. I don't know when I'm going to get to it, but it was so pretty. Couldn't pass it up. Next up is a new release from Meghan Quinn. This is Bridesmaid Undercover. This is book 2 from the first one, which is Bridesmaid for Hire. I have read a few Meghan Quinn books before. Love them. She is so funny. When it comes to her banter, it is just great. I don't know what this one's about because I haven't read the first one, but I knew I was going to like that one, so I got this one. You're going to see that often a lot. I haven't read the first book and I have the second one because, yeah. Next up is Foxglove from Adalyn Grace. This is book 2 after, what was the first book? Belladonna. This is the second book after Belladonna. Wisteria just came out, but I'm waiting for that to come out in paperback because I got the first 2 in, obviously, paperback. Beautiful edges, beautiful cover. I honestly don't know much about this series. I know Wisteria is the finale. There's 3 books in it, and I just know that Death is a love interest, and that is just so intriguing. So intriguing. Ravensong by TJ Klune. I have the first book in the series, and I just got this for like the sprayed edges. I haven't read either books yet. I'm guessing it's a wolfy story, which I am such a fan of werewolf stories. Like, I love a good vampire, but I think I'm a werewolf girl at heart. This cover is so pretty. Yeah, so the first book is Wolf Song. Then this one's Ravensong, then there's Heart Song and Brother Song. This one is one that I'm most excited for. This is Daydream by Hannah Grace. This is the 3rd book in the Maple Hill series. I read the first 2 books, which was Icebreaker and Wildfire. Love those. Wildfire was so great. This is Henry's story, which you see Henry in the first and second book, and he is just such a special side character. And I love that he has gotten his own book with his own love story, and I cannot wait to read this. This book I have read already, and I wanted a physical copy because I absolutely loved it. This is Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. This is so cute. If you love a story with a good, like, awkward cinnamon roll MMC, you're gonna eat this up. It's like a marriage of convenience slash fake dating slash friends to lovers. It's just so good. Oh, and this takes place in Ireland. So you have Callum, who runs his family's basically morgue. Is it a morgue? Undertaking business, whatever. He runs his family's undertaking business, and his grandfather died, and in his will said that Callum can only inherit the business if he marries before his 35th birthday. He has a new neighbor who moved to Ireland from Texas after her husband passed away, which, no, her husband did not die by an aneurysm. If you know, you know. I have such an issue with significant others passing away that way. It's terrifying. But her name is Lark, she's his new neighbor, and she basically tries to help him find a future wife. It's just so cute. It's not that long. I do believe it's still available on Kindle Unlimited, but it is such a great, like, fluffy read. I highly recommend it. And then I picked up 2 books from Rachel Harrison. I have The Return and Black Sheep. I actually had one of my mutual friends on my Book Talk account talk about this, and she said that she really liked it. I did read Such Sharp Teeth from this author, and I actually ended up really liking it. So I'm excited to delve into these. I believe The Return might be one of her first stories. And The Return is about a friend who disappeared for like 2 years and comes back, and the group reunites and they don't think it's her. I love stories like that. And this one is about basically the black sheep of the family. She's coming home. She's not really welcome, but stuff ensues. And that's all I know. And then the last book I got in this first time to Barnes & Noble is Long Live Evil. This just grabbed my attention. On the back it says, a tale for anyone who's ever fallen for the villain. Yes. She's thicker than I thought she was gonna be, but I absolutely love the cover, and this is by Sarah Rees Brennan, and it's the monthly pick for Barnes & Noble if you're ever interested in that. But this is apparently a series, and it's Time of Iron book 1. I'm just gonna read the back real quick. It says, as her whole life collapses, Ray still has books. Dying, she seizes a second chance at living, a magical bargain that lets her enter the world of her favorite fantasy series. She wakes up in a castle on the edge of a hellish chasm, home of the once and forever emperor, her favorite fictional character. He's impossibly alluring, as only fiction can be. However, in this fantasy world, she discovers that she's not the heroine, but the villainess in the emperor's tale. Time to assemble a rogues gallery of villains and hatch an evil plot. That sounds fantastic. That sounds absolutely fantastic. I bought so many books. It's kind of overwhelming, not gonna lie. And then I went to Half Price Books because they had 20% off for Labor Day weekend, and I bought 6 books. So the first one is Fable by Adrienne Young. I also have another mutual on TikTok that talked about this book, and she said it was absolutely fantastic. So this is about a girl who is left on a very dangerous island, and she's told by her father, survive this for a few years and then come and find me. I believe this is about pirates, so there's action. I believe there's a little bit of romance. I could be wrong on that, but I am so excited for this. I really love pirate stories. Like, Pirates of the Caribbean like opened up a love of piracy, so I'm excited for this one. This book though, this is Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura. I could be saying that author's name wrong. This I have heard is like if The Mummy meets Indiana Jones, and sign me up for anything The Mummy. I love The Mummy. That's all I know about this. I jumped on it when I saw it because it was only $8.49. I did see this at Barnes & Noble for double the price, so definitely a half-price book. And I got 20% off on it, so I'm super happy with that. And then this one is Not Your Crush's Cauldron by April Asher. This is actually book 2 in the series, which is called Supernatural Singles. So I have the first book and I have the third book. I saw this one, decided to pick it up to complete the books, and this is a series I plan on reading relatively soon, between September and October, because I love a good witchy story. This is Dead Lake by Darcy Coates. I have never read this author and I have never heard of this author, but I thought that this sounded really good. I found it in the horror section. This is about a woman named Sam who goes to a remote lakeside cabin, and she thinks that she's entirely alone until one day she looks out and she sees a man standing at the end of her dock, and there's something going on with the lake, and it just sounds so intriguing. So I'm really hopeful for this. I do have an issue with some horrors and thrillers, just I get caught up in my head, but I am really hoping that I can just fly through this because it's not very long, about 250 pages, so I am ecstatic for this. And I picked up 2 books from Tessa Bailey. This is Love Her, Lose Her, and Fix Her Up. This is part of the, I can never remember the series of this. I forget what the name of the series is. If I can find it, I will throw it up on the screen. But I have, I believe, the 3rd book in this, and I think it goes Fix Her Up, Love Her or Lose Her. And then, damn, what is the last one? I can't remember what that book is called, but I think this is the Hot and Hammered series. I could be wrong. But that is everything I got at Half Price Books. I'm gonna pivot a little bit. We went to Target for some groceries, and I got a book from Sophie Lark. This is Kingmakers Year 1. These are being reprinted with beautiful sprayed edges, and I believe that they used to have different title names, but now they're just gonna be Kingmakers Year 1, Year 2, Year whatever. I know nothing about this other than it's set in like a college university, which is a mafia university, so very intrigued with that. And then I got my book of the month in, and this book sounds so good. This is Sleep Tight by J.H. Markert. I keep saying Markert, it's not right. This leans more horror thriller, and I'm gonna try to summarize this as best as I can because I just ramble. But this is about a serial killer called Father Silence who, when he is discovered what he's done, they find 19 bodies in his home and one survivor of the horrors. It is 20 years later, he is finally put to death, and then the next day the original detective that arrested him is found murdered. A new serial killer is out. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a copycat or not, but he calls himself the Outcast. The daughter of the detective is a detective herself, and she gets caught up all in this because 1, her father's killed, and for 2, her daughter gets kidnapped by the Outcast, so she has to travel back to the town where all of this started to link up with the one survivor to see if they can unravel any clues to figure out where the Outcast is keeping her daughter. It sounds so good. But I have a link down below if you want to sign up for Book of the Month. I don't know what the code is. You might get your first book for $5, or might be for $10 or $5 off. I don't remember. And then I went to Barnes & Noble yet again, this time on my birthday, and I got some really great books. First book up is The Games Gods Play. This is by Abigail Owen. I heard so many great things about this. It's new. It just came out on the 3rd, and look at these edges. Gorgeous. This is a hardcover, nothing on the back, but the end pages, stunning. Just stunning. So I honestly don't know too much about this book either, except that Hades is involved, and I love any story that involves Hades. It says, the gods love to play with us mere mortals, and every 100 years we let them. So excited for this one. I got $3 off on it. Love that. Then I got The Curse. This is by Harper L. Woods. This is book 2. The first one is The Coven, which I got the special sprayed edges on that one. I love the first book. I still haven't read this one yet, but I knew with how much I loved the first one, I will probably really like this one. I did hear mixed reviews that this wasn't as good as The Coven, but I am very excited for it regardless, and I also got $3 off on this. And then from Eric LaRocca, I have Things Have Gotten Worse Since We Last Spoke and Other Misfortunes. So there's a couple stories in here. I did read his book Everything the Darkness Eats last year, and I had mixed feelings about it, but I wanted to give him another shot. And this one sounded really interesting because you have 3 different stories. And the first one says, a whirlpool of darkness turns at the heart of a macabre ballet between 2 lonely young women in an internet chat room in the early 2000s. A darkness that threatens to forever transform them once they finally succumb to their most horrific desires. And the next one is, a couple isolate themselves on a remote island in an attempt to recover from their teenage son's death when a mysterious young man knocks on the door during a storm. ... And the third one is, a man confronts his neighbor when he discovers a strange object in his backyard, only to be drawn into an ever more dangerous game. So I'm very excited for that. It's 3 short stories. I'll fly through those, and hopefully I like this better than Everything the Darkness Eats. It's not that that book was bad, the ending threw me off. The ending just plummeted it for me. And next up is Haunted Ever After by Jen DeLuca. I don't believe this actually includes ghosts, but I've seen this floating around on Book Talk a little bit, and I thought it sounded interesting, so I picked it up. It says, it's love at first haunting in a seaside town that raises everyone's spirits in this new series from USA Today's bestselling author Jen DeLuca. Then I picked up Vampires Never Say Die by Gloria Duke. I actually bought the first book, When Life Gives You Vampires, on Book Outlet, which is eventually gonna arrive for me. This is about vampire slayers and vampires, but it seems like it's gonna be really fun, like romantic comedy with a supernatural element to it. This is We Sold Our Souls by Grady Hendrix. I know this is about a 90s rock band and like stuff that ensues. There's some trouble that happens, and it sounds very intriguing. I still don't think I've read anything from this author, and I have a few of their books. I need to change that. Love and Other Conspiracies. This is by Mallory Marlowe. That is so hard for me to say. I apologize. It says, the hardest thing for a paranormal conspiracy theorist and a web series producer to believe in is finding love in a swoony debut romantic comedy. It sounds exactly what it is. Love and Other Conspiracies. You can see there is Bigfoot in the background, and basically the guy researches cryptids and she is a producer, and they somehow link up, and I cannot wait to read this. It was highly recommended. And by highly recommended, I mean I've seen a few people that I follow just talk about it, and I'm just like, instant, add to cart. Wild Eyes by Elsie Silver. This is book 2 in the Rose Hill series. I'm very excited to dive into this series. I have the first book, haven't read it yet, but I have heard that this book is one of her best books, and I love the Chestnut Springs series. I thought it was fantastic, so I am really excited to read the rest of her stuff. She has the Gold Ranch series, which came technically before Chestnut Springs, and technically this series comes after Chestnut Springs, so I'm reading it a little bit out of order, but regardless, I'm so excited for this. And then the last book I got on this Barnes & Noble trip was Swift and Saddle by Lila Sage. This is book 2 in the, what is this? Book 2 in the Blue Rebel Ranch whatever series. I read the first one, ate it up, loved it. I cannot wait to read this one. The third book comes out in November, and I think the fourth and last book comes out early next year. Early-ish. Super excited for this. I bought so many books at Barnes & Noble. It's disgusting. So then me and my husband made the trip all the way to Gurnee, Illinois to go to 2nd and Charles, and we did not realize when we got there that it's connected to the Gurnee Mills Mall. So we spent a couple hours just walking around the mall. Very weird, like it felt like we were in like the early 2000s type of mall. We're used to the Woodfield Mall down the road, and I haven't been to a mall like that in a while. And I gotta say, I did not expect 2nd Charles to be what it is. It was so big, and I couldn't really find anything that I could justify buying. There was some books that I was like, maybe I'll get, but they were also like $30, and I was like, I don't really want to spend that much on a secondhand book, you know? So I picked up 4. First one is Funny Feelings by Tara DeWitt. I don't know anything really about this, but I've heard that this series is really good. I think it's gonna be like a sort of fluffy romance, so I'm very excited to delve into it. I'll be honest, this one I got only because it was $3. This is Rebel Heart by L.K. Farlow. This is actually signed by the author, which I guess is cool. On the back it says, she wants to see him get wild and he thinks she needs Jesus. I don't know why it called out to me, but I'll give it a shot. And then I found Bookshops and Bone Dust by Travis Baldree. I read the first book, which is Legends and Lattes, and I actually really enjoyed it. That one's a very cozy fantasy read, so I'm hoping that this one is very similar. This one I think technically takes place before Legends and Lattes, because it's all about Viv the Orc, and Legends and Lattes is about her love of coffee and setting up a coffee shop after she kind of retires from her line of work. And I think this one is technically before, where she's still in her line of work. So I'm very excited for this one. And then I found The Southern Book Club's Guide to Slaying Vampires by Grady Hendrix. Again, I'm buying this author without reading their books. This one, just from the title alone, sounded so interesting, and I still don't know anything about it. So I am excited for this one. I don't know if I will go back to 2nd and Charles, because it is like a 45 minute drive. Maybe be like once a year type of thing. Which, if you don't know, Gurnee, Illinois is where Six Flags is. So I've only ever been to Gurnee for Six Flags, so this is my first time somewhere outside of Six Flags. Home stretch. So I went to Target again, and I picked up just one book. This is Long Live the Pumpkin Queen by Shea Earnshaw. Am I saying that weird? I feel like I am. This is the story of Sally after she and Jack gets together. It seems like it's gonna be a fun little YA book. I'm gonna probably fly through this one because the font is bigger. I read faster when the font is bigger. But I am very happy with this. Can't wait to delve into it. And then I went back to Barnes & Noble. So I went to Barnes & Noble technically 4 times. This time around I got a really cute bag because I had to renew my membership. And that was $40. But this bag is adorable, and I ended up getting 5 more books. This one sounds so interesting. It's Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. First of all, the edges on here, stunning. I saw this before and I did pass it up the few times I was in Barnes & Noble, but I decided to flip through it, and what sold me on it wasn't necessarily the description of it, because even though the description does sound interesting, it was this opening line that says, "For everyone who has ever entered the room and felt they did not belong." I love that. So I am now excited for that. I actually went there just for one book, I know it's this one. This is Phantasma by Kaylee Smith. This was actually an option on Book of the Month, but I wanted to get this instead of the Book of the Month edition because I really like the cover of this. It's so cool. I don't know too much about this, but it says Phantasma only has 2 rules: stay alive and don't fall in love. And Phantasma is essentially a competition where contestants rarely escape alive and the victor is granted a single wish. I am intrigued with this. It sounds so good. And those were basically on around like the same tables. I was like, you know what, let's just take a walk and just look, see if they put out anything new in the past week. And they did. They had a little witchy section, so I was like, yes. Yes, please. So I got 3 witch books. This one is Rise and Divine by Alana Harper. I actually have the other books in the series that I plan on reading, I think in October. I think this one's newish, but it's all part of the Witches of Thistle Grove in that series. So this is part of that series. Sounds interesting. I try not to read the back of these books outside of the first one just in case it spoils anything. So I don't know anything about it, but I've heard good things about the series, so I have high hopes that I'm gonna enjoy it. And this is The League of Gentle Witches by India Holton. I have had this on my wish list for the longest time. I have not seen it in stores until today. I know it sounds like historical fiction and witchcraft. Sign me up. And this one is Witches Get Stuff Done. I don't know anything about this. It's by the author Molly Harper. They were like right next to each other. I don't know anything about it, but the back sold me by saying that the MMC is a librarian, and yes please. Give me a librarian. I say that as a woman who is married to a man who, not that he doesn't like to read, he'd just rather not. But that is everything I got in that Barnes & Noble trip, and I really enjoy this bag. It's such a pretty color. I am probably gonna use this all the time. I love it. So I know that's a ton of books. I have 6 more books coming from Book Outlet, which if I remember to do, I will list the ones that I'm getting on Book Outlet down below in case you're interested in that. But I have a lot of work ahead of me to get through these books, plus all the other books that I have. Is it a problem to buy this many? Yes it is. Was it my birthday? Yes, that's the excuse. It was my birthday. But I am so excited for pretty much all these books. I can't wait to just sit down and read. I haven't really read lately because I've just been filming and stuff, but I am excited to sit down and just crack open a new book and just dive into a world and get out of my head. So if you have read any of these books, let me know. If you have any books on your radar for fall and Halloween, also let me know. It's not that I need to buy anymore, but if they're possibly available on Kindle Unlimited, I'll download them. So this completes my very excessive, very unnecessary book haul. But if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already, please subscribe. And if you want more content, my makeup side is artistryxashh everywhere, and my book accounts are Ashley with 2 H's .read on TikTok and Instagram. Big fan of books. Big fan of books. But I'm gonna go sign off because my throat actually kind of hurts from talking so much. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you have an amazing day or night whenever you're watching this, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye.
Turn this life into something that you can never run.